Isn't it funny how we've all willingly thrown our lives away and our freedom away for a handful of views? You haven't? Well, I did. 2 weeks ago, I made a promise that I would buy a SUPERCAR kit car for my cheap C5 Corvette that I can barely afford to keep on the road. And to make things worse, I said I would have it a year from now. So with my back in a corner, I did what any reasonable, financially struggling man would do. I spent all my money on a car with a hole in the side of it. And to sweeten the deal, and no one's asking me to do this, but I will go homeless if I do not have that SUPERCAR kit car by the time I'm 20, which I'm 19 now and 3 months into that. So I'm cooked. Oh, I'll also go homeless if I don't have 5,000 YouTube subscribers by the same time. Either or and. Yeah, I'm cooked. So this is the 2005 Saturn Vue with a hole in the side fender that I bought for $1,800. A steal of a deal. I'm going to be able to make a quick buck out of it. Now let's run through a quick diagnosis of all the problems with this car. Boom, hole in the side of the fender. Boom, I think there's a bad wheel bearing. Boom, bubbled tint. Boom, nasty interior. Boom, dirty engine bay. Boom, there's a rough idle. And so much more. And so, I think with a good detail in the fixing of that fender and the replacement of that wheel bearing, we can make this car beautiful like new and make, most importantly, a profit off of it. So the first thing I see holding this in are these 3 bolts right here. There's going to be a lot of clips, I'm sure, underneath here. But let's start by getting these first 3 off. Now I know I made fun of myself earlier on in the video about this being a bad financial decision, but I did buy this with some clarity and intent of flipping it for a profit. I was aware of the issues, and I was also thinking that I could take care of these issues, fix them all, and still make a profit. And I wanted to give myself a strict budget. I wanted to buy the car for $1,800, which I did, and I didn't want to spend any more than $300 repairing it. Chrome and steel, we know. And just like that, after removing all the clips and bolts, the fender comes right out. And so I got the fender off, and then I took time off of work to use the lifts to try and get off the wheel bearing. Then I found out that the wheel bearing was not actually bad, but the dustpan on the wheel rotor was rubbing, creating a sound that sounded like a bad wheel bearing, so I lucked out there. After that, I decided to set out and go to a scrapyard to pick up a new fender. Excuse the wind, but just like that, we are back at the junkyard. And so, here we are, in row 34, we should find the car we're looking for. And sure enough it was, and the fender looked great, so I got to work on removing it. So unfortunately, we've hit our first problem. This door needs to open to access a screw that holds this in place. So my innovating mind thinks it's going to be a good idea just to smash this open so we can get to the bolt behind it.
It's a covenant, we breathe and bleed, fuel and fire we always need. On this asphalt, holy creed, speed's the promise we all heed.
Alright, now that we got our fender and our trim pieces, let's go check out and put these on the car. The objective before I go to bed is to clean the interior as best I can and to get on this other fender.
It's a covenant, we breathe and bleed, fuel and fire we always need. On this asphalt, holy creed, speaks the promise we all heed.
Luckily for me, this car represents basically my whole bank account, so I have to make it work. Now they say a little bit goes a long way. I'm a big believer, if a little bit goes a long way, then a lot more goes a lot longer.
With sweat and might, in the dark our lights ignite.
I detailed the interior every single day off camera until I was able to get as much as I could, and after all of that, I could finally remove the tent. cleaning the interior, cleaning the tints, and doing a lot of other work, I went to a locksmith and had keys made that fixed a stuck key problem, and it was finally time to start detailing the engine bay and exterior of the car. And just like that, the physical manifestation of my bank account was as shiny as a newborn baby. Alright guys, it is another day working on the Saturn, and it's my lunch break right now. I don't have a ton of time on my hands these days, just with school, work, and YouTube. But I'm doing the best I can, which means taking advantage of certain things like my lunch break. So as you guys have known, we have established that the Saturn has a little bit of an issue with a rough idle. Now, I have deduced from a YouTube video on another GM vehicle that the most likely culprit, and also the cheapest culprit for this car, would be a dirty throttle body. As you guys know, I've already gone over budget by like $1, and I do not want to go over budget anymore on this car. But I also don't want to sell a car in this way if that's possible to fix for free with just some labor. So, watching a YouTube video, all we might have to do is take off the air ducting, the plastic, and get you the throttle body. And you're supposed to clean it with throttle body and carb cleaner. I don't have any of that, and I don't have the money to spend that on right now. So we're just going to use some brake cleaner and a toothbrush and see if that fixes our problem. I don't know how effective it was, but the brush is certainly more dirty than it was when we stuck it in. I hope this was enough to clean it. I kind of doubt that this will work, because usually I'm not that lucky. But let's see if we can get lucky and this fixed the problem. Alrighty, let's give it a go. Okay, right now the idle is high enough where it's not vibrating yet. Let's hope it stays high enough. I'm watching it come down right now. Okay, wait. Okay, so it's right now it's idling at 900 RPM. It used to idle at 600 RPM. The vibration isn't perfect. Okay, it's got some stuff to be desired. But I think if we hit this one more time, we might be able to get that idle over 1,000 and get rid of these vibrations and make it a great car for the next customer. At that point, there would be really zero mechanical issues, and I could sell this with a clean conscience, knowing I'm giving them a great car, knowing I'm getting a great price. Alright, it's later in the evening. The final step of cleaning is cleaning the engine bay. Now, cleaning the engine bay has two impacts. The first and greatest impact is the pictures that you take on your listing. In my opinion, if I see a vehicle that has a spotless factory like new engine bay, then it makes me a lot more confident in buying from the person that's selling, because it makes the car look like it has been really tenderly taken care of. It also gives you a placebo effect of thinking that the car has absolutely no issues and the engine's basically brand new. And even though our engine does have no issues, it'll make them think it's just that much more new. And even though it only has 165,000 miles, it's still not like brand new mileage, but this will just make it look like it's a lot younger of a car. In my opinion, the best and most thorough way to go about this without making your garage a mess is to use a soapy spray bottle of water and a microfiber towel and just get all of that dust taken care of. Another good place to hit, just because it takes up so much engine bay real estate, is these shock towers. See how much better that looks? I haven't obviously wiped it down yet, but you guys can just tell how much better this engine bay looks with such a massive piece, all squeaky and new. And it only takes a couple seconds. Seriously, detailing the engine bay is one of the most effective ways to increase the price of your vehicle. That's when disaster struck. I have alluded earlier on in the video to a budget. Now that budget I gave myself was $300. I bought the car for $1.8 thousand, and I don't want to go any more than $2.1K in. because I wanted to sell it for $3K, make $900 profit. Now what ended up happening was the starter went out the day before I was supposed to sell it. So I had to get a new starter, which pushed me to $117 over budget. The starter was $116 and I had previously gone $1 over budget at the scrapyard. What was really stressful was I had 30 minutes to get the new starter working before my first customer came to check it out. Luckily they ended up backing out because I ended up spending 6 hours on this starter, taking it off and putting it back in over and over again because it wouldn't stop engaging. My boss said that it was probably a bad starter relay or a bad ignition wire. And he said it wasn't the starter. There was no way because it was brand new. So in the morning I got up, took it to a parts store, and guess what? It was the bad starter. So I got a new one for free and put it back in and it worked. At this point I had got new keys, glued the headliner to the roof, completely detailed the car inside and out and the engine bay, replaced the starter, replaced one tire, which I didn't even mention, fixed a rubbing sound on the tire that I thought was a bad wheel bearing, and so much more, and I was finally ready to sell this car. And 20 minutes after I got the new starter on, it worked and someone came and bought it for $3,200. I was able to ethically sell this car with no mechanical issues to the new owners, and I fixed all the issues on my end. It took a lot of time and it wasn't easy, but this is going to make us not only closer to our goal of the SUPERCAR kit car, but also closer to the goal of growing this audience. Now let's break up our hours and time invested so we can see how much we made an hour and our total profit. Alright, finally the moment you've all been waiting for, the cost breakdown. So I spent $1,800 on the Saturn, $100 on a vacuum extractor, $20 on a heat gun, $5 on razor blades, $93 at the scrapyard through entrance fees and the parts, $20 on other microfiber cloths from Amazon, $15 on a headlight restore kit, $20 on a trim restore kit, and $28 in miscellaneous fees and gas, etc. Bringing our total to $2,117 spent. Now on the time side, we spent 1 hour picking up the car because I had the longboard to pick it up, 2 hours doing an initial cleaning on the car, 5 hours doing more in-depth cleaning with a drill brush and extractor, 6 hours total removing the fender, putting it back on, going to the scrapyard and all that jazz. 1 hour cleaning the throttle body and adding plastic trim remover, another hour giving it a outside wipe down and an inside vacuuming, 6 hours trying to remove the wheel bearing but failing to and realizing it was just the dustpan. We spent 1 hour doing some more small cleaning on our off time. We spent 1 hour jumping the car and losing our starter, and 2 hours replacing the starter, reinstalling the starter, testing the starter, and getting it all back on. Bringing our total to 26 hours plus or minus, that's my rough estimate. Then we sold the vehicle for $3,200. So to find a profit, we have to subtract $2,117. And to find our net profit, we have to find $983 as our solution. Then to find out how much we made an hour, we have to take 983 divided by 26 hours, which brings us to $37.80. Now the minimum wage in Kansas is about $10, and I make $13 an hour at my part-time job. So I make $37.80 from this, $13 an hour from that, and eventually it's going to lead to the SUPERCAR. I mean, by the time I'm 20, if I don't, like I said, I'll go homeless. And if you guys want to see me suffer in future videos every single week, hit that subscribe button. If you really just enjoyed seeing me suffer just this once and you don't want to see me again afterwards, hit the like button. And if you didn't like me at all, tell me why in the comments. And if you did like me but saw ways I could improve, please tell me down below. I'm always reading my comments to see how I can do better for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned because the journey is going to be crazy. I'm never going to stop uploading, and I'll see you next week. Finally, if you're all still watching, stay blessed. Forlorn the Gnome says hi, and go talk to your family. Have a nice day.